cycle. I quickly want to inform you, it is not strictly 28 days for all females. No, but that is the average that we work on. Okay, so when we look at the menstrual cycle, there are many hormones, 10 to 12 hormones that are involved for all these processes to take place. Usually there is one egg in a month, and so it is all about timing. All about timing? All about timing if you want to get pregnant, and all about timing if you do not want to get pregnant. Now, okay, right. The uterus must be ready when egg gets there, ovum gets there, in case it was fertilized. If no fertilization takes place, it will tear down and the lining of the uterus will start to rebuild from day one for the next menstrual cycle. And this is my favorite graph. And I think that you do have a type of graph like that on page 442. And this is the book of Appel de Klerk that we are using for those of you who are watching on a video. So on day 1, we know day 1 is the start of menstruation. That means that there was no pregnancy, no implantation during the previous cycle, and the wall of the uterus, which we also call the endometrium, will now start to tear apart, and it will be released through the vagina in the form of blood. Can you see why we cannot say the uterus starts to tear down? You see why I want you to specifically talk about the different parts of the uterus. The uterus is the whole thing, but actually it's the inside. No, the uterus is the whole thing. There's a lining, then there's muscles, and we refer to muscles of the uterus, lining of the uterus. If you remember, the lining is the endometrium. Use that word. Okay, right. So I want us to start here, and then we will work our way up. So on day 1, it starts to tear down, and now the uterus that was thickened is now much thinner, and it will start to build up again. Why? Because it is an energy consuming process to keep it thick like that. Right? To keep it thick. So it tears down. No, not to use too much energy. Rather use the energy for the primary follicle. Now, if I say follicle, I mean the cells that forms the bag with the ovum inside. And remember, if we say there's an ovum inside, that ovum already was through the process of oogenesis. Now, you remember oogenesis? Where the diploid germinal epithelium cell changed into a haploid cell. Okay. And now it will start to develop, it will grow, and the moment when it is fully developed, we talk about the Graafian follicle. This Graafian follicle will now on day 14 be released into the fallopian tube, and we call that ovulation. If we look at ovulation, we will see that the endometrium now already are built up to a certain point. Now, and I want us now to move up to the involved hormones. So progesterone is very low, but estrogen starts to increase. When? When the Graafian follicle is developed enough, the Graafian follicle cells release estrogen. They spell it normally also with an O, no, estrogen. So the estrogen needs to build the layer. Now, ovulation, and the estrogen starts to lower a tiny bit, né? Because it still needs to build up, but progesterone increase. Why? Progesterone will maintain the thickness of the wall. And there's no Graafian follicle anymore, but it's now called corpus yellow body, corpus luteum. Okay, do you remember the yellow spot in the eye was also fovea lutea? That's okay, and or the yellow spot. So the cells remain active in providing now the progesterone. Okay, and we see the levels increase. When we see the levels is going down, decrease, we realize no pregnancy occurred. And it's because of that lower levels, lower levels that it's being teared down. Because what is keeping the uterus lining being built and maintained? Progesterone and estrogen. You see? So if those levels fall, the wall will be broken down. Okay. It must stay high. And what is interesting, I just want to come in here. So for a while, this corpus luteum will provide it. And it will stay high levels. If there's no pregnancy, the corpus luteum start to disintegrate. If there's a pregnancy, the corpus luteum also start to disintegrate. And the placenta that forms, you know now what's placenta. Fortunately, we did it in grade 10. The placenta takes over the role as an endocrine gland. Endocrine gland, a gland that secretes hormones. So then the placenta takes over this role. Okay, and there's a good reason for this. Let's go and look at the hormones for the menstrual cycle. So we do understand now the role of estrogen and progesterone. The role of luteinizing hormone. So I first need a follicle to be stimulated. So the follicle stimulating hormone, easy, follicle stimulating hormone, stimulate the follicle to grow. Now, the luteinizing hormone reaches its highest point during ovulation. So the luteinizing hormone will be the one that causes ovulation. Luteinizing corpus luteum, you see? So when luteinizing causes ovulation, the corpus luteum will then be formed. Okay. And then we see it's going much lower. If there's a pregnancy, what do we want the next month to happen? We want the next month a primary follicle must start to form again and become a Graafian follicle. If there was a pregnancy, we do not want another primary follicle, because then there will be another baby, but there's already one that's growing. It does not work like that in humans, because we do not have enough space and energy to have one growing and another one coming, you see? Okay, so what happens is, if the progesterone levels, the estrogen levels stays high, it will stop the follicle stimulating hormone. It will inhibit the follicle stimulating hormone. Do you understand that? So if this stays high, means there's a pregnancy. And the follicle stimulating hormone will then not start to help the formation of another follicle. Does that make sense? Completely, no? Okay, so that is the menstrual cycle. Now it sounds much easier than in grade 10 because you already have your foundation knowledge. You agree? So there I just have then a summary, 3 stages, tear down. Which hormones are high during tear, which are low? Estrogen and progesterone must be low. But which hormone must start to function? FSH. For the follicle to be stimulated. Follicle stimulated hormone. Okay. The FSH also helps the boys or the male. Follicle stimulating hormone is present in male to help for the sperms to get there. Okay? Help for the formation of sperm. And LH for male? LH for male help the testosterone to develop. LH help testosterone to develop. FSH helps the testosterone help the sperms together with FSH. So it's also present in the pituitary gland of the males. Okay, right. Now we have rebuilding to rebuild estrogen to maintain progesterone. But the progesterone not only keep it thickened, it also provides the formation of the blood vessels in this thick wall so that there are extra oxygen and nutrients. It's like forming a perfect cradle. Nah. So that when a fertilized egg that we call a zygote becomes an embryo moves down, implants, it is ready to receive it. Okay, right. If there's no baby, we know what happened. We are back to square one. Okay, I think we talked enough about estrogen, progesterone, LH, and FSH. And I think we are ready with this. Ovulation. Now, when are you able to get pregnant? Only when there is an ovum and a sperm. Nay, but here is where we need to take care. How do you know that you are ovulated if you are ovulating? You will have a slightly increase in your basal temperature. A slight increase. 37.5 to 37.8.9. A slight increase. Now, most fertile days in the next few days. So, when do you think, if you want to get pregnant, is a good time to have copulation? Sexual intercourse. On the day of ovulation? Yes, definitely. The day before ovulation? No, they care. The sperm cell can live for 24 hours inside the female body. So, if there was sexual intercourse the day before ovulation, there are still sperm cells present. Nay, so if ovulation happens, there can be a sperm cell ready to fertilize. And fertilization is when the nucleus of the male fuses with the nucleus of the female. You remember that? Okay, good. It's good that we are repeating so many times. Nay, that is how we learn. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay? And then you can say, okay, but If ovulation is finished, remember that ovulation has the egg cell, the ovum, stays also for 48 hours. It stays in a way that it can receive a sperm. No. So they say there are a window period of about 3 to 4 days. A day, 2 days before ovulation, 2 days after ovulation. That gives us about 4 days. No. Where you have a window period where pregnancy can occur. Because if it's a good sperm, let's count rather 48 hours, especially if we do not want to get pregnant. Ne? And then 2 days after ovulation, it's another 48 hours. That gives us 4 days. Okay, that is the days where a pregnancy can take place. And this is what I explained here. Ovum, 12 to 24 hours. Sperm, 4 to 5 days. I just want you to check what your book says. So from day 11 to day 16, in the cycle, the pregnancy is possible. Here, I have a picture and I printed this picture for you. This picture tells us now different stages of development inside the ovum. Ovary. And here you can clearly see where you have the germinal epithelium, you see the development, and you see the released egg. That zona pellucida, that layer around the ovum, it has the function to make sure that only one sperm can enter, and then it closes off, like a gate that's locked or a fence that's locked, and none else will enter. That is the function of the zona pellucida. Now, and there we see ovulation. Oh yes, there you see the name for that bubbles that we see around the ovum. They say it's the corona radiata. You don't have to know that name, but you will see it in pictures. And I want us now to look at the video, corona radiata. I want us now to look at a video about the menstrual cycle.
Ovulation and the menstrual cycle. The processes of ovulation and menstruation occur because of the interplay between the pituitary gland, the ovaries, and the uterus. At the start of a typical 28-day menstrual cycle, the hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin-releasing hormone,
not important for you,
GnRH, into the network of blood vessels which surround the pituitary gland. This stimulates the cells of the pituitary gland to secrete follicle-stimulating hormone, or
that is
FSH,
important,
which travels through the bloodstream to reach the ovaries, where it stimulates the development of ovarian follicles. Each of the developing follicles consists of an immature egg, a number of cells which secrete estrogen and fluid. Most of these developing follicles degenerate by day 7, leaving only a single dominant follicle to grow, nourishing the developing egg inside it. FSH helps the egg to mature in preparation for its release during ovulation, while the estrogen secreted by the developing follicles helps in the regeneration of the endometrial lining of the uterus. Around day 12, it's a surge of estrogen into the bloodstream. Which reach the hypothalamus, resulting in the increased secretion of GnRH and stimulating the production of luteinizing hormone or LH by the pituitary gland.
Sorry, I just want to. Did you hear there? FSH increase LH. If FSH is there, it will make sure LH will be secreted. You remember? Just want to take you back. Estrogen high levels decrease FSH. Otherwise, we will have an ovum getting ready while there's a pregnancy. You follow that? JP, you understand? Stays high. Stay high. But what is telling the luteinizing hormone? Can you see it's all interlinked? Now, to make sure everything works according to plan. Okay, right.
This flooding of LH into the bloodstream causes the follicle to bulge, acting as a trigger for the rupture of the follicle and ovulation around the middle of the cycle.
Day 14.
After its release, the egg is picked up by suction into the fin-related opening of the outer end of the fallopian tube. From here, it takes about 5 to 6 days to travel through the fallopian tube where fertilization occurs.
Celia?
Before the fertilized egg gets lodged in the wall of the uterine cavity. If fertilization of the egg fails to occur within 12 to 24 hours, the egg begins to disintegrate and is eliminated along with the shedding of the endometrial lining. After the follicle ruptures, it is converted into a structure known as the corpus luteum, which secretes the hormone progesterone. Progesterone creates important changes in the endometrial lining of the uterus, making it suitable for it to receive the fertilized egg. The secretion of progesterone is maintained for several days. But if the fertilization does not occur in this period, the corpus luteum repairs, resulting in a fall in the levels of progesterone and estrogen and a shedding of the uterine lining, starting the menstrual cycle all over again.
Okay, I think this is a very nice video. Do you agree to explain this? Okay, right. I want us now quickly to look at this interlink between all the hormones. In your book, it is important that you study it on page 440. Nee, there it will be explained. But what we say is, due to FSH, we have the follicle that starts to develop. FSH will help and increase the levels of estrogen. Estrogen will, in the blood, will make sure that LH will be secreted, because then the ovum will be released. And the LH will make the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum makes sure that progesterone is secreted. The moment if this level stays high of estrogen and progesterone, FSH will be blocked, will be inhibited. Okay. Do you understand this, class? Why this is important? To prevent another ovum to be released if one is already fertilized. Right. So this is quite a lot of information to remember. So we are going to do the pregnancy then tomorrow. I want you now to start with the questions. Question 3 and question 1, 2, 3 on the other page. Okay.
What's up, world? This is Shay, the goddess of the airwaves, on 99 FM, Monday to Friday, serving you breakfast on the ignition between 6 and 9. We brought you to be inspired, taking you to master your destiny. Now it's time to do the work.
Just show up.
Put on your work boots and do the time.
Make it, and then make it better.
Hello, world. It's your boy Script here on The Kingdom, where we're reminding you every single day.
Get up. You've got this. Start where you are.
Hey, this is your girl Treza on Hitsville on 99 FM, letting you know it's okay.
Try.
Make mistakes.
Ask.
I am Sibo, and I'm going to be with you for quite a while. Thank you so much for joining us here on your inspiration station, where we let you know
There's no easy money. There's no easy job. There's no easy life.
99 FM. Do the work.
Okay, right, class. So what, grade 12, what I want us to do today is some revision. Please check your answers. Please, I have the questions on here for the sake of the video, and I'm going to say the answers. So listen carefully so that you have the correct answers. Yes. So the first question was, on which day does ovulation takes place? I can see it in the picture. No, I can just read it from the picture. So it is on day 14. Between which days does menstruation takes place? Day 0 and day 7. Please tick your work. Please mark your work. Okay. Not if they ask, name the hormone. If they ask, name the hormone, you cannot write LH. But if they ask you to explain what is the function of the luteinizing, you can use LH. Okay. Or in another explanation. Describe the changes in the levels of LH shown in the graph. So, shown in the graph means you have to go and look. So this is not actually a real exam question. It is rather a revision question in the sense of it focuses you on the specific parts. Nah. So what is happening? The luteinizing hormone stays at low levels until day 12 or 13, where it increases. And after day 14 to day 15, it decreases immediately. Okay. Describe the relationship between the levels of estrogen and the endometrium from day 7 to day 14. From day 7, the estrogen levels increase and reach the highest levels just before day 14. During the increase of estrogen, we have also an increase in the thickness or the building up of the endometrium. That is the relationship. As estrogen increase, the thickness or the building up of the endometrium also increases. Okay. Explain why it is necessary for the levels of progesterone in the blood to increase after ovulation. The answer is progesterone maintains the thickness of the endometrium. It also helps with the development of blood vessels in the endometrium. And that prepares the uterus for implantation. Okay, so maintain the thickness, progesterone, development of blood vessels, and that prepares the uterus or the endometrium for implantation. Did fertilization take place in the illustration on our graph? You say no, and you are correct. And the reason why you say no is? It didn't happen. What? Yes? Yes, Albert? The levels of the progesterone dropped. No. The corpus luteum will be there because even if fertilization took place, remember, what is the function of the corpus luteum? To secrete progesterone. So, if there is a pregnancy, the corpus luteum needs to continue making the progesterone. Okay, for the levels of the endometrium to stay high, to stay developed. Now, this is telling me the dropping of the progesterone levels is telling me that there was no pregnancy, no fertilization. Okay. And that is the explanation to our answer. Nee, the progesterone that dropped. Okay, right. The next question was this one. Okay, give labels for parts A, E, and G, respectively. Parts A, ovary. E is the fallopian tube. And G, the endometrium, or the wall of the uterus. G, endometrium, wall of the uterus. A, ovary. E, fallopian tube. G, endometrium, or wall of the uterus. The process takes place at B is the ovulation. B is ovulation. When during the menstrual cycle does this process take place? Day 14. Okay. Describe the process represented at D. So what is the process at D, Janus? Fertilization. So describe fertilization, and I want you to say fertilization is the fusion of the haploid nucleus of the sperm and the haploid nucleus of the ovum to form a diploid zygote. I want you to write all of that. Haploid nucleus of the sperm fuses with haploid or N. You can just write an N. Haploid nucleus of the ovum to form a diploid 2N zygote. Okay, we can continue. Cell C. How many chromosomes? 23. Cell F. 46. Because it is their fertilization took place. So 23 and 23 fuse together. So it's 46. Okay. And the last one cell H is a sperm, ne? My picture is not that clear, but your picture is clearer. It is a sperm, so it is 23. Chorus, how many chromosomes in a red blood cell? While we are on the topic. How many chromosomes in a red blood cell? Ah, you're clever. Yes. Okay. No chromosomes in a red blood cell. There's no nucleus in a red blood cell. No. Good. Okay. The last question here shows the developing fetus inside the uterus. Name the parts. A, I will say is the placenta. A is the placenta and B the umbilical cord. Okay. Okay. The functions of the amniotic fluid. Okay, it's a water cradle to protect the baby against temperature changes, pressure, and shocks. No, shocks or gravity. It also it does not protect the baby against gravity, but it can move in this fluid. But it's also a shock absorber. But just add that. If you say amniotic fluid promote peristalsis, there will be no sense. No. But if you say while it is swallowing it, the baby starts to practice peristalsis, good. Okay. Right? One substance they diffuse from the fetal blood to the maternal blood. Let's name two. Urea and carbon dioxide from fetus to mother. The drug present in cigarette smoke. Nicotine is the drug. Nah. There are lots, but we only focus on the carbon monoxide because it prevents the oxygen to be transported, and then the nicotine and the negative effect that this could have on the developing fetus. Please do not say the fetus will get addicted. That is actually not now a problem. No. Increase of blood pressure due to the narrowing of the blood vessels. No. Okay. Right. And that, yes. Oh, you just said it's a water cradle. So it's a environment that is creating a perfect spot for the baby. Nah. But with that will not bring you a mark. You have to add temperature regulation, shock absorber, pressure is perfect inside for this tiny, tiny developing cells of the fetus. Okay. What? What is C? I think C is the fluid, so it's the amniotic fluid. Nee. So this will be the amniotic sac, and the fluid is the amniotic fluid. Just check where is the end of the line. No, that you do not think, I know that's the amniotic sac, and then you do not specify the correct answer. Okay. Okay, then grade 12. I also have the other one, and here I also have, for the sake of our video recording, I have the questions and the answers so that we go through this. Now, grade 12, higher level. Please remember you are higher level. With this, we only have the knowledge. No. Make sure that you read in between lines. Make sure that you can apply this knowledge to whatever they ask. Think, what did I study about this? And then write in full sentences. Now, write in full sentences so that they see you know what you are talking about. So our first question was, fertilization occurs when the nucleus of a sperm, and when the nucleus of a sperm N, with N I mean haploid, cell fuses with the nucleus of the ovum, which is also haploid, and it forms a diploid zygote. Okay, some of this now is going to repeat the questions of the previous. Is it clear for you to see? I can enlarge it a tiny bit. The differences between the male gamete and the female gamete. The sperm is much smaller than the regarding their size. Nee, sperm is much smaller. Regarding their structure, the ovum is spherical. Please don't say it is round. It is spherical or ball-shaped. The ovum has more cytoplasm than the sperm, and the sperm is elongated with a tail. We will not find a tail on the ovum. Their relative numbers, sperm are produced in much greater numbers, and sperm are produced limitedly through life. Nee. While ova, a little baby girl is born with a limited number of ova. Okay. Yes, I think it probably will. I think it probably will. Just tell me when we go to spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis, which type of cell division will take place to form sperms? Meiosis. Yes. One sperm germ cell will change into how many sperm cells? 4. One primary oocyte will change into 1, but they also change into 4, but 3 are called polar bodies, and only 1 change into an ovum. You remember oogenesis and spermatogenesis. Please don't skip that paragraphs in your book. Now, okay, right. Before fertilization can occur, the sperm must pass through and you had to order that. Sperm duct, urethra, vagina, cervix, uterus, and then oviduct. Now, here in the blue, you can see the answer. You had to order that in the correct order. I don't think that's a higher level question. As I said, this is just to help you to have the knowledge which you can apply. Now, are you okay, Koros, or do you have questions? No questions. Okay. Explain what is meant by ovulation. Ovulation is the release of an ovum from a mature follicle or a mature Graafian follicle in the ovary. The release of an ovum from a mature Graafian follicle in the ovary. It will happen, question B, ovulation occurs approximately once every 28 days. Explain why the chance of fertilization in humans is restricted only to a few days in the month. The sperm can fertilize an ovum for up to 3 days after entering the female reproductive system. And the ovum must be present So ovulation must have taken place, and it survives for about 1 day. Next page. Diagram. First, let's quickly get the labels. Oh no, I see some of these labels did move. Nah. But on my picture, but I don't, did it also move? It's not move. It didn't move in your picture. So A is the vagina. B must be there at the cervix. The amnion is C. Amnion, I think C is touching that line only. Nah. C is touching the line. Can you see there? So C must be the amnion sac. Amnion sac. Better. D. Where's D? D will be the uterus. If it stops there, it is the uterus muscle. If it stops there, it is the uterus lining. Okay? E, they want to be the placenta. F, the fallopian tube or the oviduct. F. G is the fetus. Never ever the baby while it is not being born. Okay. Then I is the ovum maturing in the ovary. Number 2 is the ovum that is released from the follicle. So ovulation. Sure. This is really the lines really is very confusing here. 3, they want to have the sperms deposited at the top of the vagina. So 3 is then the depositing of the sperm. Then we have the ovum that's entering the oviduct. And how can the ovum move? It cannot swim. How can it move? It is transported by the movement of the cilia and the contractions of the fallopian tube. Sperm fertilizing the ovum and embryo implants at number Roman 6. The umbilical cord is a connection. But please, I do not have any marks there. Look at the marks. If they ask what is the function and they give you 1 mark, you say it's a connection. Nee. But actually, it's to transport oxygen and nutrients. So look at the mark indication to help you how much you must tell. In this case, I said the umbilical cord contains blood vessels which convey blood between the fetus and the placenta. Possible effects on the fetus if the mother smokes. If the mother smokes, we know we can have an underweight baby. We know that the baby can get addicted to smoking. But then something interesting, catches rubella. Rubella is German measles. If a mother, the baby can be blind or deaf when the baby is born. If the mother catches rubella, the baby have ear problems and eye problems, or one of them, or both. Okay. Then the story about identical twins. It's a product of a single zygote which divide into 2 at an early stage of development. And then fraternal twins is the simultaneous fertilization of two ova. Blood tests help to know the blood group of the mother. If the mother and the baby has different blood groups, the mother's blood can attack the baby's blood. Does it make sense to you? No? Okay. That antibodies is produced very, very early. And then it will kill the baby, because actually the baby's little blood clot inside the fetus blood clot inside the mother. So what they now do is, when the first baby is born, they inject a substance that remove all the antibodies from the mom's body. So I will explain. If we finish the questions, I want to explain why the mom's blood can attack the baby's blood. Okay, I just want us to finish this. Question 12. Place the events in the correct order for natural childbirth. So the first thing is contractions of the uterus. Then the amnion breaks. Amniotic fluid escapes. Cervix dilate. Baby's head, abdominal contractions. Then the head emerge. Then the feet emerge, and the placenta is lastly expelled. Okay, we can stop right here.
Akiri, 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 akiri. Let's chase the germs away. Let's chase the germs away by keeping our hands clean. And when you want to sneeze or when you want to cough, do it in your elbow. Let's practice sneezing into your elbow. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Achoo! Again, achoo! Yay! You did it! Germs, 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 they make us sick. Germs, 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 germs are not your friends. When you're sick, you sneeze. Achoo! When you're sick, you cough, cough, cough. And if you achoo or cough on your hands, the germs stay alive on your hands and get passed on to your friends, and they'll get sick too. Let's chase the germs away. Let's chase the germs away by keeping our hands clean. And when you want to sneeze or when you want to cough, do it in your elbow. Germs, 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 they make us sick. Germs, germs, germs are not our friends. Germs, 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 they make us sick. Germs, 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 germs are not your friends.
Hi, beautiful souls. This is Nikita Winkler, and I am here to share easy tools for stretching that you can do just about anywhere. In this session, we will be doing a full body stretch routine on the mat. Please remember that this is just a demonstration video. So once your body knows what it's doing, take your time and do a few more repetitions. So let's get started. So we're going to start on all fours, making sure that the shoulders are in line with the wrists so that the arms are not far out or too close to the body. And then that the hips are in line with the knees, hip width apart. In this position, we're going to go into a cat-cow stretch. Inhale, bring the head towards the tailbone. And exhale, bring the hips and the head towards each other, tucking the chin in, pulling into the back. And again, inhale, head towards tailbone, arch the back. Exhale, bring the chin in as well as the hips pulling into the back. From here, just drop your tailbone onto your heels. Reach the arms into this child pose resting position. Once you feel ready, come back up onto all fours. Plant your palms, tuck your toes, and lift your hips into the sky. In this downward dog position, we want to plant the heels down into the mat and press the chest towards the legs. From here, you're going to go up onto your toes. You're going to bring the hips forward, zip the core, roll the spine all the way until the hips reach the floor. Shoulders are pulling down and back. Head is up in the seal pose. Inhale, exhale, bend your knees, take the tailbone back into your heels. And we go one more time. Come onto all fours. Cat-cow, inhale, arch the back. Exhale, pull into the back, opening up the back. Inhale, arch, exhale, cat. And then plant the palms, plant the toes, lift into a downward dog. Inhale, up onto the toes, roll the body through all the way back to the mat. Open up the chest. And exhale, come back to child's pose, where you can take a moment to breathe and relax. Beautiful. Thank you for joining me in this session. Don't forget to breathe and happy stretching.